Indian Society for Clinical Research presents 19th Annual Conference. Media partner CNBC TV18.
The Indian Society for Clinical Research recently held its 19th annual conference, a flagship gathering that brought together some of the sharpest minds in clinical research, regulation, and innovation. At a time when healthcare is being reshaped by technology, data, and global collaboration, this platform served as a crucial meeting point for industry leaders, policymakers, researchers, and innovators to explore how digital innovation, global collaboration, and regulatory excellence are shaping the future of patient-centric clinical research in India.
So today is not just our annual gathering, it's to me a national movement, because what we decide today on how we collaborate determines on how we would quickly move forward and receive hope for our patients, and hope will reach our patients. So India is at the threshold of scientific renaissance, and that is why our theme today for the conference is very thought-provoking and is very inspiring. Our mission is very clear for the Indian Society for Clinical Research to inspire and align diverse stakeholders to shape and foster the environment facilitating ethical and responsible clinical research for better patient outcomes. And our vision is a bold one. It is to enable India to become a global leader in clinical research. So let me underscore something. Global leadership within clinical research will not come from volume. It is not about increasing the number of trials in India. It will come from what the world values the most today, which is with trust, with data integrity, with quality, with speed, with safeguards, and a patient-centric design. It is very important that whatever we do today, it has patients at the core and center of what we do, and that's what we believe here within ISCR.
Respected dignitaries and our delegates, last year ISCR volunteers, 2,100 plus ISCR volunteers and experts actually delivered 136 knowledge building and awareness programs across the country, reaching around 7,000 plus professionals. And these events have been actually conducted across interiors of India, and this is only being possible because of our dedicated volunteers who are part of our workforce. We do numerous webinars throughout the year. We continue to do webinars because webinar is the best way to reach the masses, and we take help of digital media to do these webinars. And again, topics are varied from digital innovation and AI to real-world evidence, advanced science, including the TRWG has actually started this advanced clinical sciences and early clinical development workshops. And another aspect of ISCR is actually outreach program. And when we do outreach, it is primarily for the patients. We now have been doing a number of patient awareness programs. I would like to definitely talk about ACCRI, which is Academic Consortium of Clinical Research in India, and it is ISCR's special initiative to strengthen academic clinical research. And it integrates academic clinical research within ISCR, recognizing academia as a core pillar of India's research ecosystem.
As India sharpens its ambition to become a global powerhouse in clinical research, the next panel turned the spotlight on what the transformation truly demands. From tackling India's distinct unmet medical needs to meeting the highest global quality benchmarks, this discussion examined how deeper collaboration between regulators, industry, and academia can accelerate innovation and unlock the next phase of sustainable growth.
Let's start by let's start from your side, Dr. Amit. What I would want to maybe ask you is that you represent an organization which you could say looks at Indian R&D innovation ecosystem, right? When you actually look at the need for repositioning in India, or repositioning India for the world for clinical trials, what are some of your thoughts that come through?
We compare the global pharma market. Generics is still a very small part of the entire pharma market, if we say. So the innovative drugs still contribute to around 3/4 of the total pharmaceutical market. So in order to grow and to grow at a pace that we have been doing, I think innovation is the way forward, and hence there have to be steps taken across the value chain, across the innovation continuum, which can help Indian companies and companies in India to make more innovation and be competitive globally. So I think this budget per se has been quite a step forward with regards to innovation. The two, three key characteristics that we see. One is the continuous focus on the self-reliance and the capacity building that we have countries with regards to API, recommendation-based drugs. Second is the push that has happened with innovation. The push that we see is one, as what rightly said, the biopharma factory. There is a lot of focus that is going towards biopharmacy.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Talwar. Maybe Sandy, I think this is your, you could say, the first visit of ACRO to, you could say, ISCR, and ISCR is probably one of those big conferences where we only do clinical research, right? What has been your, you could say, what have you seen and what makes you, you could say, excited?
This marks my second decade of coming to India at least once a year. But just a quick backdrop to ACRO and who we are. We represent all of the large clinical research organizations, as well as technology providers and larger consulting firms as well. So when we come together as ACRO, what we look to see is what is it that we bring to the table with our global experience, what India has to offer specifically with the significant growth as clinical trials specifically begin to rebound here in India, and the role that we can play with ISCR to partner together to really further those endeavors already that we've seen. You think about you mentioned earlier the regulatory pathway and the regulatory investments, et cetera. And so I think that's our opportunity that we have here.
Seema, the question maybe to you is, from the perspective of a large multinational company which is looking at doing studies across the world, what makes India an attractive destination?
For most people, it is what Cassandra already said, that it's a large population and there are multiple disease conditions which are available in India. And that's what is the view from the top when it comes to the multinational companies and they would like to place trials. But having said that, we are living in a different world today, because we already have about 20% of trials which are being asked by the US FDA to be placed with the 20% of patient population coming in from the US. And we always have this internal showcasing that requires to be done, where another 5% goes straight to Germany, and we have 50% going almost away because of China and Japan making up for the remaining 30. So that leaves India with a very limited opportunity to put in the number of patients that we truly are capable as a largest population in the world. So I think from an attractiveness perspective, while there is the population, there are regulatory urgencies which require to be taken into account.
Dr. Raj, what is BIRAC and your department actually looking at to, you could say, train people, get people into the sites, etc.?
It is really important to understand that as a large nation that we are, and with the diverse population that we have in our country, it is important to play a pivotal role in driving the evidence-based research and driving the whole ecosystem forward. And having established ourselves as a pharmacy of the world, but we have to move into innovation. Therefore, we need to accelerate all the pillars that could drive this effort. And we are very thankful to the cabinet for agreeing to sort of put this interesting concept of 1,000 clinical sites. But we already have tested the ground. With the National Biopharma Mission, where I work, we have already set up about 46 sites Before that, in the other missions in the BIRAC, we have set up a few other sites. So more than 50 sites we have set up.
Sukanya, you represent OPPI and also in your personal capacity as the regulatory lead for one of the big pharmas. From the perspective of organizations which are multinational and doing large volume studies, what are some of the things that you want to see happening in the near term, right?
Thank you, Sanish, for that question. So I think organizations, the innovator organizations such as my organization and other organizations are absolutely, recognizing that India is the future partner for innovation and the necessity of launching the innovation portfolio in India because of the huge market potential that India has today. It's on a high growth trajectory and increased healthcare infrastructure, macroeconomic drivers. So to get these innovation assets into India fast, at par with the other markets, we need robust clinical data to be generated in the Indian population. And for that, we need to be part of these global clinical studies so that we can file at par with the other markets. And that means we need to focus on a number of areas, whether it's regulatory reforms, whether it is site infrastructure, ethics infrastructure, for all of it to come together because global development programs are tight.
Dr. Batra, how will patients benefit if more number of clinical trial sites open in India or more research comes to India?
I think the person who is sitting on that site, and if you can give the best treatment, for my motto is, if I can treat the way I would have treated this person in MD Anderson or MSKCC, if I can give the same facility to that patient across them sitting in my chamber in Delhi and maybe in a tier 2, tier 3 city, that is a job served, and that exactly is my vested interest in this.
Dr. Aparna, I think one of the big asks from the government is, of course, the clinical trial sites as well as supporting innovation, etc. What is ICMR's direction or mission in this whole, you could say, the thing that has been rolled out now by the government? Where are you going with this?
With the current impetus, both from government and the interest shown by the industry. So of course, we need to gear up to have better quality infrastructure so that the credibility and the confidence is there that yes, we can do it in India. So the 1,000 clinical trial sites, like 1,000 is a very, very large number, but it sounds good. And that is something that we all will be working towards. National Biopharma Mission, ICMR, together we're trying to put together proposals so that we can train these sites, make them ready at least in a phased manner so that the industry and other sponsors can actually utilize this.
Indian Society for Clinical Research presents 19th Annual Conference. Media partner CNBC TV18.
As India accelerates its clinical research ambitions, regulatory agility becomes mission critical. The next session focused on enabling adaptive, forward-looking regulatory frameworks that can keep pace with scientific innovation while safeguarding patient safety and data integrity.
What does an agile and adaptive regulatory system mean to you in the Indian context? And can I start with you, Dr. Jarin?
But agile, in my opinion, I was thinking about these two words. Agile is something where you have an inherent level of flexibility within the existing regulations. That's at least my interpretation. And adaptability is when there's, let's say, a new scenario that was perhaps never envisaged or a felt need for a reform based on which the regulations can evolve or progress. That's what I would think.
Yeah, so I think we should have more time-bound, predictable regulatory environment, and then of course targeted training so that we are future ready to take up new innovative clinical trials for discussions.
So Sukanya, I will take this from both a sponsor perspective as well as from the president of ISCR perspective. I think what we are looking for is predictability for sure. We are looking for alignment with global standards, and we are looking for transparency mainly. And last but not the least, single window.
How do you think that ICMR can support and input into the future of the agile regulatory framework that we are referring to?
My impression is that in all likelihood, this cadre will be supporting the scientific rigor in CDSCO, mostly for an in-house capacity building, maybe in a temporary fashion until they have their own independent scientific cadre. That's what is most likely going to happen.
So I just wanted to understand from you, what are your thoughts as to, are the subject expert committees equipped to deal with these new adaptive designs, the complex biologics, or decentralized study protocols, which are coming up these days?
In a way, partially yes, because subject expert committee members, they're basically clinically very strong. They're well versed with the routine phase 1, phase 2 to phase 4 clinical trials, and the routine designs for clinical trials in oncology, cardiology, diabetology, and other things. Of course, BAB, biosimilars, they're pretty well versed with all that.
What are some of the initiatives that you think can be undertaken in the short future to make India again an even more stronger, attractive destination for global clinical research?
Few of the things, I think, partnership, like I was mentioning earlier, to understand these complex protocols, both from a regulator's perspective, SEC members' perspective, would be very, we would be very interested in partnering that so that the scientific tenor can be enhanced, particularly when it comes to investigators and their actual practice when it comes to clinical trials, so that the implementation on the ground is strong, so that we can generate quality data at the end of the game. Also, I think when it comes to the collaboration with institutions like ICMR, it will be more from the perspective that we want to build the scientific capability not only on the side of the investigators, but also on the capability side of the CROs, the industry at large. Because I think while we are developing innovation for clinical trial sites, there is nothing which is coming back to the industry, and that is one area which can certainly be an area of collaboration to build this.
Excellence took center stage at the conference with the prestigious ISCR Clinical Research Excellence Awards. From early and mid-career trailblazers to senior researchers with over 2 decades of impact, the awards celebrated outstanding contributions shaping India's clinical research landscape. As the Indian Society for Clinical Research's 19th annual conference drew to a close, one message resonated strongly. India is not just participating in the global clinical research landscape, it is helping shape it. With sharper regulation, stronger collaboration, and technology-led innovation, the road ahead looks both ambitious and achievable.
India's new NDCT rules coming up. So there's a lot of change from the previous Schedule Y guidelines, and we are trying to align with the regulatory norms in other countries, because now if we want to go forward in innovation, and with 2030 we want to actually be global leaders in research, not followers of clinical research. So definitely there is a change in the regulatory stance. ICMR is coming up with a lot of guidelines, especially in relation to artificial intelligence.
India is now an emerging pharmacy, and Uttar Pradesh is taking a lead in establishing pharma industry in a big way in Lalitpur as well as Greater Noida. So this is an opportunity for all stakeholders who should come and contact in UP so that they can flourish themselves. So I think this conference is very good.
Academia is one of the stakeholders of clinical research, and most of the studies happen in academia. So when we talk about patients, right? So for clinical research, we need patients, and patients visit academia for their various ailments. And so academia is the place where, research takes place. So that way it is relevant.
While, India moves from a clinical trial cost-efficient hub to a global R&D leader, I do think there are certain investments which are required. The first would be strengthening the health infrastructure, especially, with a focus on digital innovation. The second would be, having more awareness about clinical trials in the lay public. So for that, I do think that we need to ensure that there are national level campaign and more collaboration with our researchers and with patient advocacy group.
It has to be associations, it has to be societies which are of all the stakeholders who are in clinical research. It's a collective effort that is going to be there. Clinical trials or clinical research is another care option in the patient's treatment. It is not outside of the patient's treatment. It is within the patient's treatment options that are there.
I think the ability for all of us, industry and academia together, to actually do the basic research, to actually get the right kind of talent and research capabilities, and industry guiding them in figuring out what those kinds of problems should be that we should try and solve for. I think that is how we want to build. Just beyond just capacity, I think the possibility to do something innovative and new is where I think the excitement is going forward.
Indian Society for Clinical Research presents 19th Annual Conference. Media partner CNBC TV 18.